Hello, everybody. Okay, so tonight Anna and I are going to be talking about her experience with the 12-week mentoring group that is currently open for enrollment for OTPs. So if you are an OT, if you are an OTA, and in pediatrics or want to transition into pediatrics, this 12-week group was made to help you learn all about the topics that I thought were most important for pediatric therapists. Um, I have found over the years that mentorship really is a struggle to offer. Unfortunately, it's just not there as frequently as I would like it. And a lot of therapists are either, you know, starting their therapy career without any mentorship or are a few years in and feel like they want to grow and want a community and want that support. And that is what this 12-week group does. It goes over sensory processing, reflexes, handwriting, regulation, feeding, and has, in addition to little mini webinars and modules that you get with a ton of resources, we also have 75-minute live sessions each week to help support the carryover of what you're learning and help you problem solve and um, apply that to your caseload. So Anna joined our last cohort that ended about a month ago. And she very graciously said she would come on live with me to chat about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm glad you
I
asked me.
know. Thank you. Okay, so before we even get into the group, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your experience as an OT? How long have you been working? What are you doing? What does that all look like?
Yeah, so I've been an OT for about 5 years. I graduated in 2019. Have only been in pediatrics. I started out in home health. I started during COVID time, so I kind of I jumped into home health, and then I went to clinic for a little bit, for about almost 2 years, and then I went back into home health and started my own home health practice, kind of on a smaller scale, but still doing home health, and then a little bit of PRN in the clinic, just to see some other faces. But I'm primarily in home health.
Awesome. You've kind of like dabbled
I
all
kind of
around.
dabble, yes, and that's why your mentorship was really helpful. Just really quick, because just being in home health and not having like a community like that, and also you've had the experience of being in home health and in clinic, so I feel like your feedback was really helpful for me to apply to both settings that I've been in and am currently in.
Yeah. And I think like you had a special experience too, where earlier on you started your own thing
Yes.
and like went off on your own. And I feel like that when I graduated 10 years ago, that was like a no-no. Everyone's like, you cannot start your own business yet. You have to wait, you have to get the mentorship. And now I think things are very different because we're in a place where you can get that mentorship to support, this individual growth and business that you want to build. Virtual mentorship is there and it's so much easier to get that now. And am fully supportive of any therapist that wants to start their own business because I think it is so valuable. And that's a wholly different topic for another day. But like, so great that you had that experience and then were able to, join us coming from that place, um, and being in a variety of different settings.
Yeah, and I think that's actually how I initially found you, is through when I started my home health practice, being like, okay, I need mentorship, but it's really hard to find the time to get that through like face to
Yeah.
face. But having the opportunity in kind of an organized fashion, with like having set time to talk to people, the availability, and then all the resources, I think that was really helpful to kind of go back to, of like, okay, if I want to build this on my own, or even just like any questions I had about the kids, regardless of what setting you're in, just having that time to discuss those things was probably like the most beneficial thing for me and like what I was looking
Yeah.
for.
I think one of the things that I really like focus on in this group and really felt passionate about having as part of this group is those live sessions and making sure that they were small group. We have a max of like, we typically have about 15 therapists signing up, but about 10 therapists will come to each of our live sessions. And it's that carryover piece. Like you can learn skills anywhere. You can take a course, you can pick up information, pick up a book, but having someone help support you through how do I apply this information or how does it relate to my caseload? And with our groups, it's not just me sharing, it is a group of 10 other therapists that are supporting you and um, sharing strategies, sharing ideas, building you up. Like, I find that that is so, so helpful, especially if you are in a position where you're the only one.
Yeah. It just felt like safe to be like, hey, this is what I'm like having concerns about, or like if you're in a clinic setting, sometimes you can't talk about those concerns or like things that you have. And I think one topic that I really liked that you talked about was like burnout, and that's kind of how I was feeling, working in a clinic, but then also like working on my own and like starting on my own thing. Like I
Yeah.
also hit burnout too, and to be able to have a topic in your mentorship program that um, that specifically
Oh, I can't hear you. But is it just me? No. Oh,
okay,
there it is.
good. Okay, I don't know what happened. No, so just talking about burnout, where you had a specific session within your mentorship program that completely discusses that, and I think that's a subject that's not talked about a lot.
No.
Um, no matter what setting you're, even in school, you don't think you're going to hit that so early on, and you do, and having a resource to really go to that, knowing, hey, there's a lot of people that also feel that way, and how can we like push through that.
Yeah. Um, it is our last topic that we talk about in the group. And I kind of saved it to last because I feel like it's one of the most vulnerable topics. Um, and I wanted everyone to feel comfortable, but it is something that is so important to discuss. I did a presentation earlier today with a group, and nobody talks about burnout. Like nobody tells you like this is a thing you might experience, and here's how you can like identify signs. Here's what you can do to help support yourself. Like it and it's such a powerful thing that can really fuck with us.
Yeah.
And knowing strategies and feeling supported and working towards decreasing the opportunities for burnout to come up are so important. And so it was really important to me that that was part of our group.
Yeah, that's not a topic again you see a lot. So that's what was also like, oh, this would be really good to talk about because I was feeling that way before I joined.
Yeah. Real quick, for anyone that's just joining, if you have any questions while you're watching, feel free to post them in the chat and we'll answer those. So I'm assuming in your various positions, you didn't really get a lot of mentorship in
Not
that.
definitely not formally. Like starting out in home health, again, I had maybe like 2 days to like train with like my supervisor. Um, but that's more on like, I feel like a lot of training when you're training with somebody is on like the paperwork and on like the deck, on like that kind of
Yeah.
thing versus on like cases that you're seeing and how like treatment approaches. And of course, we all come with a very um, like broad interventions. We have our own things in our toolbox, but not having like a mentor to like go to, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Like that time to like brainstorm with somebody, both in home health and in clinic setting, is very hard unless you really like find the time to do it on your own, which is hard to also keep up with your own productivity
Yeah.
and that. So of course, taking your CEUs and things like that. But like formal mentorship is really rare to find. It's not something that I ever had besides just like trying to pick people's brains in between the 5 minutes
Yeah.
of seeing clients.
It's like you're gonna have this mentor, but
Yeah,
you're not gonna be in the same place as them. Maybe you'll see them
yeah,
occasionally, but you don't
yeah.
like have more time to
Or if they're
chat.
treating, like a lot of my like supervisors were also had their own caseload,
Yeah.
so they also didn't have the time.
Yeah. It can be a struggle. I wish it were different. And I mean, it is why I created this program and why, you know, 3.5 years in, it's still needed. Like there's still so many therapists that just aren't getting the support, regardless of how long they've been practicing, whether it's a year, whether it's 8 years, like we can always learn more and we can always learn from other people, not just in the like, teach me about this one topic, but like observing, sharing stories, sharing of different approaches. Like, I think we all have so much to bring to the table to share with each other, and we don't get that like dedicated time to have that in our daily like routines.
Exactly.
Um, so you started, we were doing one-on-ones, and then you decided to join the
Yeah.
group. What was your, and it might be hard to pick, what was your favorite thing about the group?
Um, my favorite thing about the group was one, I think having that live 75 minutes to brainstorm with all the other therapists, being able to hear, like I said, you don't really have time when you're treating to like really hear people's mindset of like how they come up with their approaches
Mm-hmm.
to when they're working with clients and the variety of clients that we see. So to be able to have those conversations, but also again having like the safe space to discuss like the struggles
Yeah.
of being a therapist.
Yeah.
Um, like no one becomes a therapist because of like the money. Like you really have to like be passionate, and it was nice seeing other like passionate clinicians that just want to be better clinicians.
Yeah.
And that was really like that was motivating for me to see, and I think that's was one of my favorite parts um, of the and also if you missed like the in live, you had them recorded, so like I could always go back and look at them.
Yeah. That is definitely one of the benefits is when you join, everything's recorded. We have two live options. This cohort is Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. They're able to pick whatever day they want to come. If you have to miss one, you're able to come to the next. Everything's recorded, and you have lifetime access to all of the material. So even if a therapist isn't necessarily doing feeding right now, a year from now, who knows where you're going to be and what you're going to want to have information on. And so being able to go back to something and rewatch something, I think is so valuable.
And I still go back and look at some of your stuff. Like I use your the comprehensive evaluation um, template that you
Yeah.
made. I still use that. I mean, it's only been a month, but like I started using it when we started.
Yeah, I mean, that is the benefit is like all of the resources in there are yours to use. Like whether it is like an eval template, a note template, a resource to give to a parent, like you gain all of these resources that I used in my practice to use and modify as needed. So like they're integrated into your own practice. So it's pretty awesome. Um, Now that our 12 weeks together are over, how do you feel? Like, do you feel different as a clinician? Do you feel, I'll just leave it at that, actually.
I definitely feel more confident with having like access to resources and like having it in an organized manner where like, hey, we've talked about this before and I know this information, but I need some more information to like give to a parent or like references, and those are all like in each topic you have put all those things in there that are really easy to find, so it just makes me feel like, hey, like I can provide some more feedback to the parent. So like, because at the end of the day, that's really who we're teaching. Like,
Yeah.
yes, the child, but the parent needs to also know where we're coming from in our approach and our approaches. And I feel like being a confident therapist is also being like an organized therapist. So having like all those resources that you've provided, and then on top of the conversations that we had, I think overall I've just felt like, okay, like I can do this. I have a little bit more like um, ability to like to provide things that I think will really help the parent carry out what I'm trying to teach.
Yeah. I think imposter syndrome comes up so frequently for everybody, like even myself. Like every single time I launch this program, I'm like, can I do this? Like, what? We all experience it throughout. But I think the things that help decrease that imposter syndrome are having an education, like knowing more about a topic, having resources, and honestly, feeling confident talking to adults, whether it be a parent or a teacher or somebody else. Because I feel like that's where and when imposter syndrome starts to creep in is the, oh my God, a parent's asking me a question or a teacher's asking me a question. And what do I
Yeah,
say? Or like, what do I provide them? And so I think that, between resources and our discussions on like, how do we approach different conversations with family members, teachers, team members on different ways that we're approaching treatment, on different ways that we're trying to carry over things or educate. I think that through having a lot of these conversations, you gain a lot of different approaches to how you can convey information and how you can feel that confidence in your sessions.
yeah, no, I definitely noticed that like over the past, I guess like couple like 3 months, like when I'm talking to parents, I'm like having more like things to give them, and like just like knowing that I've had these like fresh conversations, over the last, couple months through this mentorship class, being able to like speak more confidently, I
Yeah,
think is one thing that I've just noticed in myself.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank
Uh,
you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
you're welcome. Anything I can do to help you guys, really. Um, for anyone who is thinking about joining the group or has like looked into it, do you have anything else that you want them to know or want to share about anything,
Yeah.
your experience?
I think because of course there's always like hesitancy with joining an online program or just like committing to
Yeah.
anything in general because of time, because of money, just because of just the commitment that it involves.
Hmm.
So I think like for me, when I looked at everything, I'm like, yes, of course it's gonna take time out of my evening. It's gonna be, take money out of things that maybe I was gonna use something else. But when I looked at it and like what I look at what I have now, I'm just like, this was so worth it because you have access to these resources that it would take me years to make, in conversations that for me were like invaluable just
Yeah.
for a commitment for a couple of months. So
Yeah.
I think, and it's just not something that you're gonna get in person really, like that I've found. So I do think, if someone's like hesitant on joining, like, but is feeling like, hey, I need some motivation to stay in this field, like this is the course or like the program for you. And you get CEUs, which is great as somebody that is about to
Yeah.
renew their license.
Yeah. You get 30 PDUs for NBCOT. The whole course is 24 hours with all of the videos. And each module has a quiz. So you get 1.25 PDUs for NBCOT. And then every state is different in what they require from you. So check your states. But it's a lot of hours. So getting those CUs in is so helpful. And you like, it is a commitment,
Yeah.
but it's a commitment that you are, honoring yourself with because you are investing in yourself to be a better therapist, to feel less stressed, to feel more confident, to be better prepared. You know, the unfortunate truth is that there's not a lot of, I fully like am supportive of the clinics and of, I mean, it's usually the clinics that are offering it, mentorship. Youth schools don't really offer it. Early intervention, I was very lucky. My first job was in EI and we had great mentorship,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's not the case 100% of the time. And I'm a full believer that we have to be proactive about our career. And if we're not getting something, kind of just sitting with it and like being like, okay, well, I'll just learn on my own. Sure is one path to do it, but it just makes things harder and longer. Having the support and the connection and the community, I think you come out of the group light years ahead of where you were when you started.
Yeah, I think so. I felt after, and I'm still going through some of the videos that like I missed. So it's like you still have that opportunity when, if that commitment can't be there every week.
Totally.
But it's like it's also your investment that you're making of like, especially when you're feeling like, hey, like I'm stuck on this kiddo, let me go back and like get some more information on maybe something that can help me. So I'm not feeling that like stuck, and like when you're feeling stuck, I feel like that's when the burnout
You,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like shut down, like, this is
Yeah.
the pathway that I'm going and I don't know what else to do.
And it's easy to do like day, and especially because we see kids weekly, so it's so easy to just be like doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I realized when I started having conversations with others of like, hey, I can try something else, or like, hey, this was an idea that I like never would have thought of on my own. So it just makes you feel like less stuck of a clinician, and no one wants to be.
No. It definitely is like a special place. And I think each group is slightly different in how they connect and how they share. And I feel like your group was very vulnerable, which is really nice to see because it allows us to feel supported and offer support.
Yeah,
And and
that's
that connection piece is so helpful.
yeah, and I think that's what was so nice. Like you helped direct it, but then everyone else we felt really comfortable with sharing things
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. It really is a safe place. Or I try
Yeah,
and make it a safe place for everybody. Hopefully
you
everyone
did.
feels that.
Yeah, no, I think you did, and you also gave opportunities if like you can put things in the chat if you don't want to like speak, or you
Mhm.
have the on your videos you can also put like comments on. So there's like other ways to like voice your opinions if you don't always want to do it like
Yeah.
actively talking.
Yeah. I know.
Because some days you don't feel like doing that because we talk all day. So
I know. And I'm like, and I'm an introvert. Like in class, I would be so nervous to raise my hand and ask a question. And like, so I know how it feels to like feel like you're being put on the spot. And so I want to make it a bit accessible and easy for everyone to get the support that they want and that they need. Um, so we're multifaceted. Anybody watching, if you have a question, you are welcome to put it into the chat box. Um, Thank you so much, Anna, for coming
yeah,
on and chatting with me about the
you're
group.
welcome. I think it's great. I highly recommend anyone thinking about joining to join. Katie, you're amazing with all your organization skills of like all the resources. I was like, would have taken me years to put this.
I mean, we are 3 years in, and this is
Yeah,
an
yeah.
evolving program. There's
Well,
always like ways to make it better. And
yeah.
you guys help me with that.
Yeah, and I think what's nice too is that after the program, you get two one-on-one 30-minute sessions with you, which I still have to book.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it's
It's,
also like nice because it still carries on after
yeah,
the mentorship
yeah.
class.
And you are also, for 2 months, you're able to join our collaborative, which is the therapists that have graduated from the program. And we meet a few times a month. So there's so many opportunities for learning and growth. Um, for anyone who is still here, we still have spots in both Monday and Wednesday evenings. Our live sessions will start on January 20th, and they're at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we go for 12 weeks. So we go through some of April. I can't do that math
Yeah,
and I don't have the calendar, but
sounds about
it's a
right.
3 week. And I'm
Yeah,
like, my brain doesn't do math that quickly. Um, so if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to message me. You're welcome to DM me. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Anna, for sharing your
of
experience. I
course,
love chatting with you.
of course. I will sign up for my mentorship so we can chat some more.
Perfect.
All right,
Have
all
a good
right.
evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.